Zach and Arthur, thank you for bringing our attention to the mitzvot in our portion, the holidays and kashrut, the laws of eating, and for reminding us of the meaning that these traditional Jewish ways of life can have in our lives. There are so many pressures on Jews as a minority people in our modern world to give up on any practice that's countercultural or different from the way that the majority lives. And in other words, there's so much pressure to assimilate all the time. It takes really sustained effort to get to Hebrew school when your friends don't have to go, to show up for High Holy Days when it could be just a day off school, or to refrain from eating that pepperoni pizza at the party when everyone else is enjoying it. It's hard to live by a different set of rules. But you're reminding us that the Jewish people have a way of life that we adapt as we change, but a way of life that is beautiful and meaningful, whether it's related to gathering with family for the cycles of the year or bringing mindful attention to the food that we consume. Our parsha begins by making the connection between mitzvot and blessing. Re'eh, see, I place before you blessing and curse, the blessing that you listen to the mitzvot of Adonai your God, Moses says to the people. But what does that really mean? Well, both of you made the case for living by certain mitzvot. You did not make the case that the reason to live by those mitzvot is because God will reward us if we do, based on our compliance. You made the case that the mitzvot themselves contain blessing. And I agree with you. But let's look a little bit closer at how that works. From your perspectives, the blessing is self-evident. You enjoy celebrating the holidays, which makes them a blessing in and of themselves. Or the mitzvot of kashrut makes us less cruel. Perhaps that's all there is to it. But is there more? I've been reading a wonderful book by Rabbi Shai Held called Judaism is About Love. And in it, Rabbi Held argues that the central idea in Judaism is that human beings are created with God's love in order to live up to that love. He cites many rabbinic texts which tell us that we are created in God's image as an act of love, and that not only are we created in God's image, but that we're told that we're created in God's image so that we will know that we are loved. You can see this idea in the prayer that we say just before the Shema that I was talking about earlier. We say it, a version of it both in the morning and in the evening. This love that we're granted from birth simply because we exist, not because we did anything to earn it, is meant to give us a strong and solid awareness of our worth. So much of what goes wrong in human behavior, if you think about it, is linked to our feeling of insecurity or uncertainty or fragility in our sense of self-worth. We compare ourselves to others. We feel we need to compete with others or surpass or defeat others to prove our worth. We spend much of our lives seeking accomplishments, wealth, power, status, as we attempt to prove our worth. And meanwhile, we're loved exactly as we are. We're not supposed to be perfect. The love is granted even with all of our imperfections. If we could understand this, if we could truly internalize this and believe it and know that we are inherently worthy, think of how that would change our lives and our world. So how do we internalize that sense of certainty and security about our worth that would release us from constant striving? And here's where Judaism is brilliant. Judaism tells us that we are meant to live up to the infinite worth that we have, the love that we've been given, that we're meant to live up to that infinite love. And how do we do that? Through mitzvot, through actions that elevate us, actions that refine our hunger and our need to nourish ourselves, actions that sanctify the passage of time and seasons, actions that curb our greed and selfishness. You know, we chanted from the Torah today a part that neither of you spoke about that commands us to do everything in our power to eradicate poverty. That was the first part of Torah that was read. Actions that bring forward our highest ethics, actions that engage us in compassion and love for other human beings. That is how the mitzvot become blessing. The actions themselves teach us about our own worth. When we do them, we see ourselves through their light. The actions we take prove our worth to us, though we don't need to prove our worth to God. And they elevate us. They teach us that we are conduits of God's love. The Sfat Emet, writing in the 19th century, said of the first verse of our Parsha, both the soul and the Torah are compared to candles. In everything there is a living point of light from God. But that inwardness lies hidden from the world. The Jew has to arouse and reveal this inwardness that lies within all things by means of the mitzvot. When you attach yourself through your actions to the point of light within each thing, you will come to see that it is blessing. Zach and Arthur, thank you for teaching us about the light and the blessing in the mitzvot. As we come to the month of Elul, which I spoke about before, this month of preparation for the High Holy Days, we each consider how we can better use our actions to bring forth light and blessing in ourselves and in our world. May we know how already loved we are and how already worthy we are. And may we live up to that infinite love and that infinite worth through our actions evermore. Shabbat Shalom.